Welcome back. Till now, what we have discussed is we started with Faraday's experiments. Then we show how Faraday explained the results or outcomes of his experiments using Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Next, we studied Lenz's law. Then a couple of lectures solved some problems. In today's lecture, what we are going to study is known as motional electromotive force or motional EMF. Let me introduce this with the help of an example. Consider you have a conducting frame. This is made of a conducting material, say copper. Let us suppose this length is L. And on this conducting material, you have another branch which is also conducting. That is, this side is also conducting. But this side is free to move. This can move in either direction. This side. Let me name this. I will call this point as P. I will call this point as Q. I will call this point as R. And I will call this point as S. So you have a rectangle over here, P, Q, R, S, where this structure, which is unshaded, is stationary, while as side PQ is free to move, either in this direction or in this direction. This side is free to move. Fine. Okay. This frame is stationary while at this arm PQ can move either towards left or towards right. What we basically want to study here is it possible if I have a conductor, say, inside a magnetic field, a straight conductor inside a magnetic field, and I'm moving this conductor inside a magnetic field, will there be any voltage induced across this conductor or not? We basically want to study that. That is known as motional EMF. That is, if I have a conductor and I'm moving this conductor inside a magnetic field, I'm changing the position of this conductor or moving this conductor inside a magnetic field. Will there be any voltage induced across this conductor or not? That's what basically we are studying here. Okay. Let us suppose we are moving this arm PQ towards left with a velocity, a constant velocity, let's suppose V. And this whole arrangement is in a magnetic field which is pointing into the plane of page. I'll mark that by cross. Cross means magnetic field is into the plane of page. Fine. You are moving this conductor PQ or arm PQ towards left with velocity V. What is the area enclosed by this loop PQRS? Area enclosed by this loop at an instant when this arm stays here is this length L into this distance. Let us suppose this distance, since this is changing at any particular instant, let's suppose this distance is X. So how much is the area of this loop? This is L into X. Magnetic field dense flux density B is into the plane of page. That's constant. So when we move this arm PQ towards left, the area of the loop, does it remain same? Does it decrease or does it increase? What happens to the area of loop as we move this arm PQ or conductor PQ towards left? Area of the loop decreases. As area of the loop decreases, what will happen to the flux through the loop? Does flux through the loop remain same or does flux through the loop change? Flux through the loop changes. In fact, flux through the loop decreases. We already know from the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction that if you have a loop and the flux passing through the loop changes, there will be an induced EMF in the loop. So in this case, as I move this arm PQ from this position towards left, the flux through the loop keeps on decreasing. When flux through the loop keeps on decreasing, so there will be an induced EMF inside the loop. There will be an induced EMF inside the loop. But we already know from Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction that EMF induced E is equivalent to d phi divided by dt, where phi b is the flux through the loop. In fact, the n d phi by dt, where n is number of turns. Here, to make it the case simpler, there is only a single number of turns, so E is equal to d phi by dt. What is flux phi b? Flux phi passing through any area is equivalent to magnetic flux density B into area A. So here in this case, how much is flux? Flux phi B is equivalent to magnetic flux density is B. How much is area of the loop? Area of the loop is length L into width X. So flux through this loop is equivalent to BLX. Is this flux constant or is this flux changing? This flux is changing. Why? Because this X is changing. As you move this PQ towards left, this X keeps on decreasing. When X keeps on decreasing, flux keeps on decreasing. Let's substitute this flux in this EMF equation. So induced EMF E will be equal to d divided by dt of phi b, where phi b is B, magnetic flux density, length L, into X, this distance. Since B is constant, L is constant, we can get them out of differentiation. You can write E is equivalent to B is constant, L is constant, so this becomes dx divided by dt. Isn't this dx divided by dt change in displacement with respect to time? How much distance is changing with respect to time? Dx is change in distance. How much x is changing? That is ds x divided by dt. What is that dx divided by dt? You call that as velocity. So we can write induced EMF E is equivalent to B L into V. If this distance is L, then this distance is L. You can clearly see from the expression of the induced EMF in a conductor of length L moving in a magnetic field. The EMF induced in a conductor of length L moving in a magnetic field with velocity V is equivalent to BLV, where B is magnetic flux density, L is length of the conductor, V is velocity of the conductor. That is, if you have a conductor inside a magnetic field and you want that there should be a voltage induced in the conductor, the voltage can be induced in the conductor if you move this conductor inside the magnetic field. When you move this conductor inside the magnetic field, the induced EMF in the conductor is proportional to magnetic flux density B, length of the conductor. More the length of conductor, more will be the induced EMF. And velocity of the conductor. The faster you move the conductor, the more will be the induced EMF in the conductor. Fine. This is called motional EMF or motional electromotive force. Since we have this EMF induced, across this conductor, since this frame is also conducting, so this is the closed path over here, a current should flow. Since you have EMF induced in this and you have a closed path available, so there will be a current flow in this. What will be the magnitude of current and what will be the direction of current? Magnitude of current will be directly obtained from the EMF expression. How much is magnitude of current? Let us suppose this frame is of negligible resistance and only this conductor PQ has a resistance small r ohms. We are assuming the resistance of this frame is negligible and only this conductor has a resistance of R. So in this circuit, what is total resistance? Total resistance is R. What is induced EMF? That is BLV. So how much is current through this loop? Current through this loop, I, will be equal to induced EMF E divided by total resistance R. How much is E? That is BLV. How much is resistance? That is R. So the current induced in the loop or current flowing through the loop whenever this conductor PQ is moving will be equal to BLV divided by R. That's again proportional to magnetic flux density, length of the conductor and velocity of the conductor, and obviously inversely proportional to resistance in the loop. Now another question. What is the direction of induced EMF here? Or in other words, what is the direction of current flow over here? How can we answer that question? So this was first part, this was second part, and now is the third part, direction of the current. How do we know the direction of current? We have already studied in the previous lectures. ये बीच में बात याद आई, बिफोर स्टार्टिंग विद दिस लेक्चर, अगर आपने इससे पहले पुराने लेक्चर्स ना देखी हो, you start with the lecture 1, that move on to lecture 2, then lecture 3, then lecture 4, then lecture 5, then only you will be able to understand things. Because I have developed the physics, I have developed the mathematics, I have developed the concept in the earlier chapters, in earlier lectures. Please go through them first, then come here. Don't directly jump to this lecture. Jump मत करो ऐसे lectures, पहले ये lecture फिर वो lecture, no. Follow the proper procedure, follow the proper sequence. So what is the direction of current here? We already know from the Lenz's law. Lenz's law gives us the direction. And according to Lenz's law, the current will flow in this loop such that it opposes the cause that originally produced it. What is the cause of the current flow here? Change in flux. But what is the change in flux? Is flux increasing or is flux decreasing? When we move this conductor towards left, flux is decreasing. When flux is decreasing, that means the cause of induced current is decrease in flux, where flux is into the plane of page. So the current will be induced here such that the current here will be induced in this loop such that will oppose the decrease in flux. So that current will flow in such a way that the flux produced by that current does not allow the decrease in flux. Or in other words, that current will increase the flux. Fluxes into the plane of page. So that current should flow such that will produce a flux which is into the plane of page. If you want flux into the plane of page, using right hand thumb rule, for flux into the plane of page, current should be clockwise. So current will flow in this direction. Now we can directly answer this question. Had I moved this conductor not towards left but towards right, then flux would have increased. Increase in flux would have produced the induced current. Then the induced current will try to reduce the flux. So current would have been in anti-clockwise direction. So this is the direction of current here in this case. Direction of current using Lenz's law. Fine. Now I want to modify this circuit a bit. Since I have to introduce another concept here, I'll modify the circuit a bit. So this is page number 15 now. How I will modify the circuit is, you again have the same frame. Try to watch the lecture the same day they are being uploaded. Now I'm connecting a bulb in this branch that I'm moving. Again, this point is P, same circuit. This point is Q, this point is R, this point is S. This distance is L. This distance is X. Magnetic field is into the plane of page. Field is into the plane of page. We already discussed this thing that if you move the arm PQ towards left with the velocity V, when you move arm PQ towards left with velocity V, there will be an induced EMF where E will be equal to BLV. This length is L. Velocity is V. B is magnetic flux density. And current through this loop, which was in clockwise direction when we move this towards left, current I was equal to BLV divided by R. Here I am assuming the resistance of this part of the loop is negligible. Resistance of this part is negligible, but this whole resistance R is the resistance of this lamp or resistance of this bulb. You will come to know why I marked this resistance as R. Now you have this arm PQ and this arm PQ, or this conductor PQ, you have a conductor PQ inside a magnetic field carrying current I. This is carrying current I. This is as if we have PQ, a conductor carrying current I, inside a magnetic field. Recall from the earlier lecture that we have discussed. Whenever you have a current carrying conductor inside a magnetic field, it experiences a force. A current carrying wire inside a magnetic field experiences a force. Where the force experienced by conductor, so this conductor PQ will experience a force where the force experienced by conductor F is equivalent to current through the conductor I into L cross B, where L is the length element, which is the same as the direction of current, and B is the magnetic field or magnetic flux density. So tell me, this conductor PQ is in a magnetic field and it's carrying current I in this direction. This will experience a force. What is the direction of force on this arm PQ? Is it the force towards left or is the force towards right? How do we know that? We directly know that from this equation. Since F is equal to I L cross B, you have to rotate a screw from L to B. That will give you the direction of force on the conductor PQ. Right hand screw rule. So here this is direction of current, so this is direction of length. L is in this direction, B is into the plane of page. If you rotate, this is L and into the plane of page is B. If you rotate L cross B, from L to B, this is L, B is downwards, L to B. This is towards right. You can move screw. When you rotate screw in direction L to B, this conductor, so screw moves out towards the right. So this PQ will have a force F towards right. This will have a force F towards right. Are you getting me? Since you have a current carrying conductor PQ inside a magnetic field, whenever a current carrying conductor is inside a magnetic field, it experiences a force where force is equal to I L cross B, direction is given by L cross B. So this force is towards right. This force is towards right. But we are moving, this is the force, or you can call this as Lorentz force. This force is towards right, but we are moving this PQ towards left. If you want to move this conductor, if you want to keep moving this conductor PQ towards left so that it keeps on inducing the voltage, you have to move this conductor continuously towards left with velocity v. But as you move this conductor towards left with velocity v, since there's an induced voltage which produces a current, and because of that current, this conductor experiences a force, and that force is towards left or right, that is towards right. So if you want to keep this conductor PQ continuously moving towards left, you will have to use an external force you will have to use an external force to push it in this direction. Why? Because of Lorentz force, this conductor has a force in this direction, towards right. If you want to keep this conductor moving continuously towards left with constant velocity v, you will have to use a force, you will have to apply a force on this conductor PQ towards left. And for this conductor PQ to move with a constant velocity v, the magnitude of this applied force, the force that I am applying on this conductor PQ to move it towards left, has to be exactly equal to this Lorentz force F. Why? When my force F is equal to the opposing Lorentz force F, then only this conductor PQ can move with velocity v, a constant velocity v towards left. The two forces are equal, so the net force is 0. Acceleration of this PQ is 0, so this is moving towards left with a constant velocity v. Then only is this possible. Then what should be the force that I have to apply over here? Let's calculate that force that I need to apply over here. Force F that I am applying here is same as the Lorentz force that's opposing the motion of this PQ, which is equal to ILB, because L and B are at 90 degrees, sine 90 is 1. So F is equivalent to, how much is I? I is B L V divided by R. L is length, B is magnetic flux density. If we simplify this, this becomes B square. This becomes L square V divided by R. B square L square V divided by R. Since you have this arm PQ and you are moving this arm PQ towards left with velocity V, and you have to use a force F, you are applying a force on PQ and this is moving towards left. Doesn't that mean you are spending some work to move PQ towards left? Definitely you are spending some work to move this arm PQ towards left. Let us suppose we move this arm PQ towards left by a distance, small distance delta x. So how much is the work done? Work W is equivalent to force into displacement delta x. If we move this towards left by a distance delta x. And how much is power? Power P is equivalent to work done per unit time. Let us suppose in time delta t, I move this by a distance delta x. So this becomes F dot delta x divided by delta t. I have done nothing here. To change work into power, I have just divided work by delta t. This becomes F. What is delta x divided by delta t? Change in displacement with respect to time, that is v, velocity. So I have to spend some power, external power or mechanical power. I'm spending some mechanical power, P is equal to F into V, to move this PQ towards left. So how much is this power P? Force F is equal to B square L square V divided by R into V. So the external power that I am, or the mechanical power that I am using to move this conductor PQ towards left is equivalent to B square L square V square divided by R. For time being, let's call this expression 1. Let's call this expression 1. But where does this is mechanical power, mind it. Mechanical or external power. This is the power that I have to spend to move this conductor PQ towards left. But where does this power go? Does it get destroyed? No. My answer is the power or the mechanical power that you are spending to move this conductor PQ towards left with velocity v is being converted into electrical power. I repeat my words. What I am saying here is the mechanical power or the external power that I am spending to move this conductor PQ towards left with a velocity v, that is B square L square V square divided by R. This is the external mechanical energy or mechanical power that I am putting in to move this conductor PQ towards left. Then I am asking you a question. What happens to this mechanical power? Does it get destroyed? No, it cannot, because we know from principle of conservation of energy, power cannot be destroyed or energy cannot be destroyed. So what does happen to this power? The answer to this question, I am answering it myself, is this mechanical power or external power is being converted into electrical power. Now the question is, sir, where does the electrical power go? That's why I have modified the circuit here. I connected a bulb small. I've assumed that a small bulb R is connected over here. Small bulb of resistance R is connected over here. Let's try to calculate when current flows through this circuit, will this bulb glow or not? Obviously this will glow. What is the power given by this bulb? Electrical power in the bulb is equivalent to, you already know this from the current electricity chapter, that power in the bulb is equivalent to I square into R. We have represented R by small r, resistance of bulb. How much is current I? Current I we already mentioned here. It is B L V divided by R whole square multiplied by R. This becomes B square L square V square divided by R square into R. This R will go with 1 R. So this becomes B square L square V square divided by R. This is expression second. Isn't the mechanical power same as the electrical power? B square L square V square divided by R. B square L square V square divided by R. Then what do we conclude from expression 1 and 2? We concluded from expression 1 and 2 that the mechanical power that we have to put in order to move this conductor PQ towards left is not being destroyed. In fact, the mechanical power that I am putting in to move this conductor PQ towards left is being converted to electrical power. Which is the reason why this bulb glows. In order for this bulb to glow, you need to have some energy. Where from does that energy, where from does that power come? That basically comes from the mechanical power that I am putting in. This is the reason why the expression for electrical power is same as the expression for the mechanical power. Because it's the mechanical power which is being converted to electrical power. That's why this bulb is glowing. I hope you are getting it. This is the basics of electromagnetic induction. So in this case, the earlier case, I represented this conductor with resistance R. So in order to move this conductor towards left, I will have to put in some energy. And that mechanical energy gets converted into electrical energy. Now you should ask me a question, sir, what happens to that energy in this case? In this case, since I am assuming this resistance R is the resistance of this whole conductor, so because of the resistance of this whole conductor, the mechanical energy that you put in to move this conductor towards left is being also again be converted into electrical energy across this resistance R. So this resistance will dissipate the power I square R. So this conductor will get hotter and hotter. This will become hot because of the Joule's effect of heating. And in this case, I assume that the whole resistance is the resistance of the bulb. So in this case, this bulb will glow. And this bulb will give the power equal to B square L square V square divided by R, which was the same power that I have to put in. As mechanical power to move this. Now let me ask you a question. If I want this bulb to glow faster, this bulb should glow brighter. For this bulb to glow brighter, what should I do? That means you want the electrical power in the bulb should be more. If you want the electrical power in the bulb should be more, you can increase electrical power in the bulb by increasing these three or by decreasing this. Let's leave this for some time being. So we can increase electrical power either by increasing the magnetic flux density. You have to increase the magnetic flux density. Or you have to increase the length of the conductor. You have to increase the length of this conductor. Or you have to move this conductor with a faster velocity v. This is actually what happens in real generators as well. In real generators, in order to increase the output electrical power, you either have to increase flux density B or increase the length of conductors or move the conductors faster. This is how we increase the output power in real generators as well. Are you getting me? But if you want to increase the electrical power in the bulb, that means you can increase either by increasing B, either by increasing L, or either by increasing V. Where from does that increased power come? Does it generate on its own? No. You have to supply that increased power. If you suppose increase magnetic flux density B to increase the electrical power of the bulb, so this B increases, that means the mechanical power also has to be increased. Are you getting me now? If you increase B, you will have more electrical power at the output. But how? At what expense? At the expense of more mechanical power on the input side. When you increase B, this is mechanical power. Mechanical power has to be increased. Increasing B means you will have to increase the mechanical power. This is the power that you have to put in. This is mechanical power. Or you can write this as PM, mechanical power. If you increase velocity, if you want to increase the electrical power, you can increase the velocity of conductor. So this bulb will glow brighter. But in order to move this faster, this V has to be increased. That means PM has to be increased. Your mechanical power also increases. So the crux of today's lecture is all this follows from the principle of conservation of energy. In order to increase the output electrical energy, the input mechanical energy has to increase. And this whole motional EMF concept, you are basically converting the mechanical energy into electrical energy, or you are converting mechanical power into electrical power. This is how real generators actually work. with some slight modifications with the rotation or the linear motion. We'll come to that in next 5 lectures. I hope you are solving as many problems as possible. If you have any queries, you can directly contact me on my WhatsApp number, or you can directly call me. I'm available for you all the time. But work hard and solve as many problems as you can. We'll continue with some problems, with some numerical problems in next lecture, inshallah. Till then, take care. Do remember me in your prayers.